Hey everybody. So we have some new leathers today from Weaver. This is their Sao Paulo line. I know I'm saying that wrong, but this is the cactus color and this is goldenrod, and this stuff is really, really beautiful. So we're gonna make a Kayleena designed a vaccine card wallet because people need to carry them in places now. So we thought it'd be cool, you can make a really nice one for this very odd time that we live in. And we have our prop fake card that we can use. We have some beautiful new leather, and the pattern is really, really cool. So let's get into making it. So this design is kind of similar to like a luggage tag where it has the foldy thing in the middle, but in the pattern we're going to trace this piece twice. We're going to trace it once for our front with the flap and then once for our back without the flap, meaning just the exterior shape. And since I'm doing it two-tone, one side being the cactus olive green, one side being the goldenrod tan, I'm going to do the flap side is going to be my green side, and then everything else is going to be out of the goldenrod. So for the flappy part, I have a little 1/8 inch punch, and I haven't cut anything out yet. I'm going to punch the ends first, and I'm also going to punch for our snap. It's the male end of our snap, which is marked on the pattern, and then we can go back down and cut out this flat part. Be very careful with this, it's a little stressful. So when I make this cut, I'm going to use a ruler, but I'm going to use it on the outside. I'm not going to put it on the inside just because I can't really see where it starts to curve, right? So if I put it on the outside, I can kind of see where the curve starts. And when I get there, move my ruler aside and just continue on slowly with cutting that curve. And depending on how good you are with a knife, you can do the straight part without a ruler or bring your ruler back in, then go to the other curve. And once I'm on the straight part, I'm just going to bring the ruler back in, again on the outside, even though this time, I can see the big hole here, and I'm just going to finish off that cut that way. And just be careful not to cut into this side of the hole. So you might want to go a little short and then come back in from the opposite side and come from the hole and pull so that you're not going to cut anything up here. But now, didn't cut perfectly all the way through. So there we go. So now all we have to do is burnish up these edges and we're good to go. So this leather's a little thick for what we want for pockets and stuff. What I'm going to do is thin it out using our French edgers, French edgers. I'm going to scribe a line so that I know what part of the leather is going to be visible, and then anything below that we're going to edge. All right, so the first thing we need to do is install our pockets onto this guy right here, because this is going to be our card pocket bank. The pattern has a top pocket guide, and what you do is you cut that out, and it gives you where the top of the pockets go. So I'm just going to make a little mark here and here, and that way I know when I go to glue in my pocket, it's going to line up exactly where I want it to. The thing I am going to do first is just rough up this leather as it is over-dyed and probably has some oils in it. so that our glue will stick really well. So I threw a stamp in. I always love throwing stamps in the new hides that we get, just to see how they take them. And this one stamps really, really nicely. I think it is a full veg tan. So next step is to just throw this pocket on, and then we'll get the side seam sewn up before we put this all together. So the inside seam is going to be this seam here. This snap is asymmetrical on the card holder piece because this is going to sit like this so that you have a spot for bills here, and then it's centered on the whole piece. So that's how you can tell which side is going to be the interior seam that you're sewing first. So I'm just going to run a line, a stitch line down here. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom so we don't intersect with our other stitch line, and we'll get this stitched up. The next thing with the new leather, I guess, we'll see how it burnishes up. You're going to want to burnish this inside seam because we're going to glue it to the bigger piece next. So you won't be able to burnish it after. So I'm just going to take off that edge, flip it over and take off this edge. And then we'll do a little bit of sanding before we get our gum trag. This is just some gum trag, and we'll see how this burnishes up because you never know with the new hide. But I have a feeling it's going to burnish just fine. It edged and sanded really, really nice. And so we put a little gum trag on there, wait till it kind of tacks up. Not like glue, but it just kind of dry. I like to let it dry a little bit. And then I'm just using canvas. I've sanded this to, I believe, either 400 or 600 grit. Yeah, it's shining up nice. Doesn't get too dark, and you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, hopefully it can. The dye is just on the surface, it's not dyed all the way through, which isn't a bad thing. I kind of usually like that look. You get a nice, you can really show off your edgework if you want with a hides like this. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of beeswax on just to seal up that edge, and then come back just to smooth it out. And if you do the beeswax like this, it's kind of almost similar to, well, it's kind of the same thing as doing the gum trag in a sense that it starts out kind of sticky and then you can feel it really gloss up. So you know that you've kind of smoothed it all out. So yeah, I'd say A+ on edgework for these hides. It came out really nice. Now we have to glue this to our body piece, and it's almost time to glue it all together. So this is kind of it's not tricky, it's just a little confusing, because we need to sew across the top before we stick these two together. You can sew across this as well if you want. I'm just going to leave it, and the stitching will start right about there on this side. So what we need to do is we need to get a stitch around this corner, across the flap, and down here. The problem is if you're using just a pair of dividers, you kind of can go here and then here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my whole stitch line on these few sides here. And then I'm going to stop before it starts to turn, and I'm going to grab just a scratch awl and a ruler and just bring that line across. So that'll give me a nice straight line that I can follow with my prongs, my stitching prongs, or stitching chisels, and we're good to go. So now we just need to stitch. I'm going to start like about there and end at the curve there. Once we have this top sewn in, before we glue, which we'll be just kind of gluing this to this now, I probably should have burnished this before. So Kayleena designed this. She made all the samples. I haven't made it yet, and it's you just got to make sure to go in order. So if you want, you can burnish this first. I should have, but I'm gonna just do a little edging on this side because it'll make it easier to slide the card in. And then I'm not gonna do anything on this side yet because we're gonna want to sand all of this down so the curves are the same before we burnish. But I am going to try to just get a little bit of burnishing on there. So let's see if we can do this. Just pull that down. Yeah, that works. It's not ideal, but it works. I suppose you could do this too once you have everything sewn together. I just figured it'd be easier without another layer. So that'll do. That'll work. This stuff burnishes pretty nicely, so I think all that's left is to just get this everything glued together and sewn up. And here we go. So Kayleena really killed it on this one. Super elegant, super slim, but it fits everything that it needs to fit. So you have a couple card slots on the front, and these will hold like 2 or 3 cards each once the wallet's broken in. Underneath that, you can't see it from the front, but you have like a fully covered bill slot that holds bills folded up. This is like 4 or 5 bills and a check. And then on the back, you have the vaccine card slot, which is basically just, you could also use it for like a luggage tag for traveling, and the window's big enough. I mean, no one knows, I don't know what they're looking for, but you can see your name and all the dates and that kind of thing. So, yep, so if you want to make it, we have the pattern available in the description for a couple bucks. It's very similar to the summer wallet that Kayleena also designed. It's just a little bit bigger to accommodate the vaccine card slot. So you could try this one out. This one's actually free on Weaver's website, so you can make a set of them. And who knows if we need to carry these around in the future, or if it's just to go to specific venues and events that are requiring them right now. It's always nice to be able to offer an option for friends, family, customers, etc. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.